Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you to our panelists for joining us. Director Marcos, as you are aware, unaccompanied minors often end up in foster care for some time. I'm currently leading an investigation in partnership with Senator Blackburn into allegations of abuse and neglect of children in Georgia's foster care system, and more broadly into the human rights of children in foster care nationwide. What oversight does ORR conduct of foster care agencies and relevant state agencies to ensure that unaccompanied children are not subjected to abuse and neglect in foster care?
Thank you for that question, Senator. ORR in all states except Florida and Texas work with licensed facilities, and through our federal field specialists, through our post-release, through legal services, through child advocates, children who do not have a family member do receive additional services because they are more vulnerable and stay in care longer.
And what steps can you take to strengthen the protection of unaccompanied children who wind up in foster care, who, according to accounts we've heard in Georgia, are at particular risk for abuse and neglect in foster care systems?
Thank you for that question. I think I have to go back to the expansion of post-release services and legal services. Both of those services extended for all children will enable that there is a trusted adult that can make sure the best interest of the child remains front and center throughout that child's life.
As you know, Ms. Marcos, these are among the most vulnerable human beings in the world. Unaccompanied minors, lacking guardians, often lacking language faculty in English, and I urge you to strengthen, accelerate, and expand your efforts to ensure that unaccompanied minors in foster care in Georgia and across the country are better protected and fully protected from abuse and neglect using all of the authorities at your disposal. Can you please provide the committee with an update on your efforts to ensure that unaccompanied children in immigration adjudication proceedings have access to legal counsel?
Thank you, Senator. We have more children receiving legal services today than the history of the program. We don't feel it's enough. We are actively expanding our services. I believe 20 new providers were just added. We're hoping to double that by the spring. We know how important it is to have a legal provider help the child navigate through our immigration system. We also know that legal provision having a legal service provider will increase the likelihood that children attend their hearings. So we are very much, with the support of Congress, expanding both legal services and our post-release services, both of which will make a difference.
It's difficult to imagine, Ms. Marcos, the confusion and fear and pain of a child having to navigate complex, sterile, sometimes hostile legal proceedings that impact their future in dramatic ways with no parent, no guardian, no lawyer. Will you please provide to the committee specific information and metrics so that we can understand what progress is being made to meet ORR's targets for the provision of legal counsel to children in immigration proceedings?
Thank you, Senator. I will absolutely take that back and also ask for continued support from Congress.
And you will provide those numbers to the committee?
I'll take that back to the team.
Will you provide those numbers to the committee? It's just a yes or no question.
May I ask for the specific numbers you're requesting?
Yes.
The number.
I would like for you to provide to the committee numbers that demonstrate the progress that ORR has made to provide more unaccompanied minors in immigration proceedings with legal counsel.
Yes. I
Yes,
can
thank you.
do that.
As you know, unaccompanied children are particularly vulnerable to labor exploitation, and we've seen reports of unaccompanied children as young as 12 and 13 pressured into working grueling hours at dangerous facilities, slaughterhouses. What do you see as Congress's role, and what more can this body do to protect these children from labor exploitation? Yes, Ms. Marcos, thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I think, as we've said before, this is a whole of society approach. We need everyone working on this. It's not one quick fix, or it would have been done. In terms of ORR, what we can do is the continued work with our colleagues at Department of Labor, the expansion of post-release, the expansion of legal services, which does require funding. And that's where Congress can help. But
what I'd like you to do is to provide technical advice to the committee, please, on how we can amend relevant statutes in order to empower ORR to protect these children. Will you do that, please?
yes, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Marcos.
I might say to my friend from Georgia that I commend to him a bill which I've introduced entitled Protecting Unaccompanied Children Act.